Welcome back to Learn SKN, and today we have an economics video for you. We're looking at paper 1 from May-June 2020. So that's economics paper 1, May-June 2020, or the COVID year, the COVID exam. All right, so let's just jump into it. Before we jump into it though, of course, make sure you like the video, you subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell, because this is going to be a 3-part video. You're going to have the first 20, second 20, third 20 till we reach 60. So we're going to have 3 videos for this one paper. All right, so make sure you subscribe, hit the bell, and like the video. So let's just jump in from number 1, of course. Which of the following rewards accrues to the factor of production called capital? And so we have rent, profit, wage, interest. And the answer for this one is interest, because rent, the reward for rent is, of course, now the factor of production associated with rent is, of course, land. The factor of production associated with profit is, of course, entrepreneurship. And the factor of production associated with wage is the labor. So labor, then we have entrepreneurship, then we have land. And if you jump in the textbook, you see it nicely outlined here. Land, the factor of the reward is rent, labor, wages, capital interest, and entrepreneurship, profit. And so the answer for this one, which is capital, would of course be interest. That's number 1. Number 2, an outward shift in the production possibility curve can be caused by an increase in wages, increase in imports, improvement in technology, or D, improvement in the standard of living. And so the answer we select is C. Why? Because technology actually enhances, improvement in technology enhances the production process, and it allows you to produce more or produce more efficiently with the same. So your production would improve either way. If you increase wages, that might actually hamper production, because that would mean that labor has become expensive, and so you might have to lay off some persons because it's too expensive to maintain your labor force, and so your production might scale back. If you have increase in imports, meaning you're no longer relying on the local production, you're relying on overseas production now, and so local production would not be enhanced with increased imports. Then you have improvement in standard of living, and of course that doesn't really, the production possibility curve doesn't really reflect anything about standard of living. So that's not really a way to measure that. That's not what the curve is for. All right, number 3. Which of the following is not a way in which governments influence the economic decisions of businesses? And so the answer here is A, increasing retirement benefits. Because if you look at all these other legislations, right here, all these other regulations and rules, passing a minimum wage legislation, what does that mean to the company? It means now that if the minimum wage was low and then the government made it higher, now all of a sudden you have to decide how many people to hire, how much pay you should give them, that kind of thing. So the wage directly influences your economic decisions as a business, because if it's too high, then you might not hire as many persons as you would like. If it's too low, of course, you might hire a lot because it's cheap labor. All right, so minimum wage will impact your economic decision as a business. Regulating the emissions of toxic waste. This again would impact your economic decision, because in order to regulate it or stymie the emissions, you might have to install new technology. It may be more expensive than doing it just like that. You know, in some factories you might have to install sensors and filters and things like that. So it becomes more expensive. So the cost of production becomes more expensive. And so you would have to sit and consider these things as a business. So definitely that would influence your decision-making process, because it goes down to the cost of production again. Then identify areas where businesses should be located. We know how this go. Government would be the ones to say, okay, if you are this kind of business, you can only locate here, there, or there. So certain manufacturing companies, animal, livestock, and those things cannot locate close to residential areas. So even if you want to go in an area where a lot of foot traffic is, based on the nature of your business, you have to now decide where the government put you. So that would influence your location, your decision. So that would influence your economic decision. So that is why increasing retirement benefits doesn't really affect your decision. Your retirement benefits right there. I guess you're making enough money, so you can just improve them if you want to, right? But that's not really where government gonna influence economic decision, because the government can't mandate that you increase retirement benefits, right? That can't even mandate that. Okay, 4. An economy is best described as, so you want to define an economy now. And so you have a lot of long-worded answers, options. And the best one to go on with here is C, the utilization of resources to produce goods and services to meet the needs and wants of society. That's basically it. That's the best definition out of the 4. A say, a system where suppliers produce all the goods and services needed by the consumers. We know that's not true, because government also produce goods and services for consumers, so it's not true. So that can't be it. The utilization of resources by manufacturers to produce goods and maximize profits. Again, that's not all, because it's not all about manufacturers. You have primary, secondary, tertiary level of production. D, a system whereby all the goods and services used by citizens of a country are provided by the government. So that's a controlled economy, but that's not an economy as a definition. So the best answer is, of course, C. All right, A. A student has a daily allowance of $20 with which he can purchase chicken and chips or a burger, but not both. If he purchases the chicken and chips, the opportunity cost of his decision will be and of course, you have to go back to the definition of opportunity cost. And that's the cost of something that you gave up, the cost foregone to acquire something else. And so if you go based on that, you know right off the bat, the answer is A, the burger he gave up. So the opportunity cost of him buying the chicken and chips is the burger that he gave up. They say the price of the chicken and chips, that is not the opportunity cost. That's the cost, the actual cost of the thing, right? Opportunity cost is what you could have, what you gave up to get something else. So he did not get the chicken, he got it. C, satisfaction he gets from the burger, he's not going to eat the burger because he gave it up. Satisfaction he gets from the chicken and chips, again, that's not the answer, because that's not the opportunity cost definition we're looking for. That's so the answer is A, what you gave up to get something. Number 6, country X allows for an exchange market to determine the rate of its domestic currency based on the forces of demand and supply. This is what this type of exchange rate is referred to as, and so if you're letting your exchange rate be at the mercy of the market forces, then of course it's literally just floating out there in the market. So the answer is C, floating. It's just floating out there. Pegged is where you take your currency and attach it to a next currency. For example, in the OECS, the EC dollar is pegged to the US dollar at 2.17. So $1 is worth 2.17 EC dollars, and that has always been the case since basically since the inception of the currency. That's when it's pegged. It's tied directly to that. So if the US appreciates, then the EC appreciates, US depreciates. So it's the same thing. Then you have fixed. Fixed means that the monetary authority decided to keep the exchange rate as it is, just one thing, and that's it. So for example, I think the Belgian dollar is like 1-to-1 for or something like that for the US dollar. Now gonna change. Look at it fixed right there, it's not gonna change. And managed now is something like float, but something they don't allow it to go too far up or too far down. They would just do certain things and nudge it back into place. That's when you have a managed exchange rate. But floating, just let the market decide. Number 7. Ayana Limited grows and harvests coconuts which are sold directly to customers without processing. Without processing is a keyword there. In which of the following sectors is Ayana Limited mainly operating? So they say without processing. So of course the answer would be C, primary, say extractive industry. If they were processed, then it would have been in the secondary industry, which is the manufacturing or construction. And if they just used to do services, it would be tertiary. And if it was a combination of the two, it would have been mixed. But in this case, it's primary because they sell them. They harvest the coconut, sell them directly. That's it. No processing, nothing. That's all. A pure public good can be described as, and of course the answer here is B, zero price. Basically, not much. You don't have to pay to use it. You don't exactly have to pay to use this public good. It's available to everybody at the same level. So they have here, it's diminishable, excludable, complementary. So the best answer is zero price, because basically you can go and enjoy a pack, enjoy a stoplight, lamppost light without any price to you, really and truly. So that's why this is zero priced. Then we have 9. Price of goods in the market economies fluctuate while prices of goods in the planned economies tend to be fixed. The most likely reason for this difference is that in the market economy, of course you know what the market economy is. That's the one ruled by supply and demand, or the forces of the market, and they determine the price, and that's why it goes up and down based on supply and demand. So profit lower, that's not even applicable to any economy per se. Producers are never efficient. Again, that's not applicable to any real economy like that. The higher levels of unemployment. So this one is very easy. Just they want to know if you understand how prices are determined in a market economy. In a plan, of course, you know the state decides the price, but in the market, the market itself determines the price of the goods. Number 10. Which of the following is a reward to the factor of production? And so we looked at something similar above. So they have A. Taxes paid to the government. Taxes are not a reward for any factor of production. B. Promotion to a higher grade in the workplace, not a reward for any factor of production. D. The managerial skills of the manager of the business, that's actually a factor of production, and that's the entrepreneurial skills. But the answer is C. Profits. Profits declared by a company in an annual report. So profits would be, right? So profits is the reward for entrepreneurship. Number 11. Which of the following is least likely to affect the efficiency of labor? The efficiency of labor. This one again is a very straightforward one, right? Efficiency of what would affect you as a laborer, as a worker, or are these four? Which one is the least likely to affect you as a worker? Now look at this. A firm's profitability. Now, does a firm's profitability directly affect your efficiency? The answer is no. I mean, it can, but it's a least likely, right? Can, but it's a least likely. So the least likely one is A, firm's profitability. Because if you're not motivated, that's going to directly impact your efficiency. You go slower, blah, blah, blah. You want to work, you're not motivated. Level of technology. If you're using obsolete technology, of course, efficiency is going to be down. You have nice advanced technology, you're going to be very efficient. And of course, education and training means that if you're educated and trained in the area, you're going to have your efficiency up and going, as opposed to if you're not educated, not well trained, you're not going to have, you'll be inefficient. So the answer here is A, a firm's profitability. Yes, it can affect it, but it's the least likely. Number 12. Choice is the most important issue in economics because, very easy, choice. Incomes are not evenly distributed. No, that doesn't really have anything to do with the choice, right? Because whether I get 10,000 a month and you get 5,000 a month, all of us have choices. So it doesn't matter if my income is distributed or not, we have choices to make still. So it's not the most important. Most countries have a low per capita income. Again, same thing as above. If my income level is lower than someone else's, I have to do with what I have, and so I have to make my own choices. Why? Because resources are scarce relative to consumer wants. So the answer is C. Resources are scarce relative to consumer wants. I mean, if we could get everything we wanted, we'd have no choice. We don't have to choose. Just get everything, take everything. No choice in this. But because we don't have unlimited resources, we have to make choices. You have to prioritize certain things, right? Okay, good. Number 13. The term money supply refers to the total stock of money in an economy at any moment. They said B here, amount of money traded in the foreign exchange market. No, because money supply is about what's in the system circulating, local domestic system. Total amount of gold and silver or the precious metals in reserve. No, because those are not liquid and they're not considered money today anymore. So that's not even a part of the monetary system anymore. Then we have D, total assets based on the institutions in the financial sector. Total asset base of the institution in the financial sector. I mean, there's a lot to say in here, but of course none of that speaks to money, right? And so the answer is A, this total stock of money. That's the coins, deposits, the notes, everything that's in an economy at any moment. Number 14. The restriction of international trade through tariffs, embargoes, quotas, and exchange control is referred to as, and so you have some options here. Structural adjustment. Okay, so structural adjustment simply means that based on the way the economy is, the government might do certain things like some austerity, pull back on the spending or increase the spending based on what they're trying to achieve. So that's not part of this trade, international trade. This is more of correcting your balance of trade and deficit and those kind of things. Structural adjustment. You're in debt, you have to adjust how you do things as a country. A bilateral agreement, of course, that's not it, because a bilateral agreement is an agreement between multiple parties about whatever, right? And sometimes the parties don't even agree on the tariffs or the quotas. That's not really, they don't come to agreement on these things. Some countries just put the tariff and you take it or leave it. Globalization is where the economy is becoming smaller, everybody interacting. So that's not the answer for this one. Of course, the answer is deprotectionism, because all these are measures used to try to dissuade imports, to try to reduce imports, to try to protect your local economy. So you want persons to buy local first before they go out, and so to protect your local market, you're going to impose things like tariffs, where is a tax that you impose on imports. So you can put it so high that importing is just too expensive and you go to the local. Embargoes, you straight up don't trade with a certain country. Quotas, you put a limit as to how much of whatever can be traded. And of course, you have exchange controls. And so all of them is protectionism measures. 15, Bargain Supermarket increased the price of its named brand tissue by 65%, and the sales fell by 115%. How would the price elasticity of demand for bargain tissue be described? And so you see what happened there. So they kept the price by 65% and sales fell by 115%. Big drop. Now the thing you have to realize here is that tissues, they have a lot of substitutes, right? It's a bargain supermarket. So the name brand tissue, you have Charmin, you have the Bounty Gas certain type, you have the one with the beer, that's Charmin also. But hey, I can't even remember more toilet paper. But there are a lot of toilet paper out there, just don't remember all. You have Scott's, I know there's Scott's. What I'm saying is that there are substitutes, and even if push comes to shove, use your baby wipes or your paper towel or whatever, right? So there are a lot of substitutes out there, so therefore it's elastic. That's why you have such a difference in this thing, because you say the price gone up, so I go into the cheaper alternative. And so if the cheaper alternative is a next brand, a local brand, then I go into the local brand. So that's why it's elastic, because it's a normal good, a lot of substitutes, and the price goes up. So of course, demand is going to fall because the price goes up. It's a normal good, and that's why it's elastic. Inelastic would be something that doesn't have a lot of close substitute, and so the sales wouldn't have fallen this drastically, because you wouldn't have had no choice but to buy that. And of course, C and D, perfectly elastic, perfectly inelastic, well, those don't really exist per se, right? So that was theory. All right, number 16. A government reduced tax on carrots. This caused the price of carrots to fall by 50%. The quantity demanded then rise by 50%. The price elasticity of demand for carrots in this case is of course unitary R1, right? Unitary R1, because it fell as much as it gained, right? So it's just one, right? Divide that by that, that's 1, unitary 1. Number 17. All things being equal, ceteris paribus, an increase in the supply of goods will result in, so supply gone up, result in, and the best answer is a fall in the price and an increase in the quantity traded. So you realize that the law of supply and demand states that if supply increases too much, well, not law of supply, but in general, if you flood the market with something, then the price for that thing would fall. And then when the price falls, then you have the law of demand kicking in, where people would buy more, right? So that's why the answer is D, a fall in price, because you're gonna fall too much on the market, too much goods on the market, too little demand, and an increase in demand. Now let's say a decrease in the price and quantity traded. Now if you increase the supply, yes, there will be a decrease in the price, but the quantity traded will increase, because the price gone down, demand, law of demand sets in, and so quantity traded goes up. An increase in price and quantity traded, so of course the price is not going to increase because you're flooding the market. It's not really a scarce resource. It might be a little glut, and therefore the price would not even increase. All right, good. Number 18 refers to the following diagram, which represents a firm maximizing profit. So the question asks, which of the following statements best describe what the diagram is illustrating? You have some options here. A, the firm is making losses. B, the firm is making excess profit. The firm is making normal profit. And the firm is making zero economic profit. Now you would realize something here. But by the process of elimination alone, everything you're talking about profit, this one talking about losses. So something got to be off. So if we look at the diagram, now we said the firm maximizes profit where MR equal MC. So that's where MR, marginal revenue, equals MC, marginal cost. And so this is the marginal cost curve here, and it intersects the marginal revenue curve here, right? So this is the price right here. So they're charging this price at a profit maximizing position. But look at this right here. Average total cost. Where is it? It's above the price. So your average total cost is more than what you're charging for the product. So if the cost to produce the product is more than you're charging it, naturally you'll be making losses, right? So that's why the answer is A, you're making losses. Number 19, refer to the diagram which shows the relationship between demand for and supply of shirts. And so they have a whole maze up here, zigzag all over the place, right? So they say there is a shift in the demand curve from DD to D1. So that's from here to there. So the demand curve move right or demand increase. There's a simultaneous shift in the supply curve from SS to S1. So there's a fall in supply now. So there's an increase in demand and there's a fall in supply, right? Fall in supply. So what does this mean? What effect is this have on the equilibrium price? Now, without even going into it, you could tell what can happen. Demand gone up, but supply gone down, which means this good come kind of scarce now. So people basically bidding for this good. So what can happen? They can bid up the price, and so therefore you have an increase in the price from Y all the way up to B, right? So the price gone up because now you have more demand, less supply, price gone up, just like that. All right, and you can follow it. You can follow the movement. We have the last one for today. Last one for this video. The supply curve shift to the left if income falls. Supply has nothing to do with income like that. The cost of production rises. Of course, that would affect your supply directly. That's why the answer is B. The cost of production falls. If the cost of production falls, then the supply curve will shift right, meaning production supply gone up, you increase the output because cost of production gone down. Technology is introduced, meaning you produce more, which means you're going to shift to the right. But shift to the left or upwards, that's a decrease in supply, which would mean that the cost of production has risen. All right, so that's it for now. That's it for now. It's the last video last question we're going to answer for this video. So you know what to do, as I said before. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you know when Learn SKN drops 21 to 40 for the May-June 2020 Economics Paper 1. Alright? Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.